association with Leeds Spirits. I'm Matty.
Hello, I'm Colin.
Good evening, I'm John.
How are you doing? You warmed up after earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Just about, aye. It's a
And it gets
deep-rooted, bone-chilling cold, wasn't it?
It was fucking Baltic. Luckily, the game was nice and entertaining to kind of keep your mind off the cold. Even with my gloves on, my hands were cold, and I
kind of
felt
gloves
no
you got.
socks
You
on.
got good gloves.
Aye, they're decent. Aye,
Uh,
like the Thinsulate ones. Ken,
mm.
they're no bad.
Is that the
Really,
thin-shellite ones that aren't thin at all? Like they're big,
aye,
thick, padded
they're,
things.
they're big thick things. Like they're good. You couldn't pick your nose with them, like, but
The
they're
one that muffles your hands when you
aye,
clap.
that's it. The noise comes out at all. You have to shout clap, 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 clap when
Yeah.
you do it. Otherwise, nobody hears you. Um, Chris Black said good evening, Matty. No good evening to Colin and John, just to me. So an extra special good evening to you, Chris. Thanks for tuning in. Right, let's get stuck right into this because we've got a lot to talk about. It was a very eventful afternoon at Easter Road. What I'm going to do is just bring up the team sheet. I just need to minimise my screen here. What am I doing? Here we go. Right, so I'm going to bring up the team sheet. A couple of changes. Gale came into the starting lineup. Colin, here's the team. What did you make it? In fact, let me run through it, and then you can tell me what you thought. So Smith, Miller, Boyle, Chris Cadden, Iredale, Quan, Nicky Cadden, Shantis, Campbell, Rocky, and Dwight Gale. And then on the bench we had Bursick, O'Hora, Levitt, Amos, McCurdy, Abita, Mariah Welsh, Hoylett, and Molotnikov. What did you think,
Uh,
Colin?
I actually like so. I thought it looked a bit weak, and then I thought, what did I actually pick? I remember in the preview, and it was pretty much that. Other than I expected Muir to be fit, and I think I played O'Hora instead of Miller. I think so. But I was a wee bit worried about it. But then that's probably because of the midfield. These games are kind of usually won in the midfield, and I just thought didn't it looked a bit light to me. But that was my thoughts.
And John, I'm not sure if that's Nicky or Chris Cadden, and it's hard to tell them apart because they're twins. And the before there, what did you think of the team?
I think that's Nicky Cadden, isn't it? Or
No, it is.
Madden,
I was just
as
kidding,
of.
John. Obviously, Nicky.
Uh, what did I think of the team? Do you know, I think the only surprise for me was probably similar to Colin's projected lineup on whatever day it was. Was it Friday? Yesterday? I'm not sure.
Friday.
Just with Gale starting because I wasn't sure it was going to last the 90 minutes. And did he last the 90 minutes today? Or was it a very late sub?
Aye,
He stayed all right to the end, yeah.
So the lineup was fine. Like I think the consistency is really key. Like whether it was by accident or by design that we started upon the 3-5-2, like we're sticking with it because it's like it seems to be effective. Like it seems that we can get a lot of bodies in defence when required, and we've got bodies there to support us in attack. So whoever it is that fills those gaps, and there's always going to be wee tweaks throughout the season for injuries or suspensions or whatever, or what have you. And it's injuries that are impacting us just now. You've got players there that might not be as good as the starter, but you've got almost like for like slotting into those positions.
I thought it was a team that looked like we were down to the bare bones there, like especially when you look at the bench. It was like I thought it would be a struggle, although like it probably is the best team for the players that we've got available. Probably is the best team that you could put out. It depends how close to fitness O'Hora is, because I suppose we'll talk about Lewis Miller a wee bit. He had a bit of a nightmare the day for at least the first half. Um, so maybe we'd have went with O'Hora rather than Miller, but I don't think he's fit. Otherwise, he probably would have played. Colin, we'll go into the game itself. I'll come to you first. Just give me like an overall summary, and then we'll break it down after that. I'll get that summary for you then for John.
Um, well, what was it, 10, 15 minutes in? I thought, fucking hell, we've got to get a doing here. And it was just frantic after that. Got ourselves making mistakes again, more mistakes. Got ourselves back in the game. Let ourselves back out the game and then got ourselves back. It was just end to end, wasn't it? Once the first, because they had control probably the first 20, 25 minutes. And
Mhm.
I thought they're dominating this. We've got to end up with a 4 or a 5 here. And we've done well to, I don't know, stop the momentum or whatever it was we've done, or maybe they stopped playing and we took advantage of it. I don't know what happened, but it was exciting in the end, wasn't it? And that's what we go to the football for, to be entertained. I don't think many folk would have been entertained today.
Nah, definitely better at Easter Road than at the cinema today. John, what did you make of the game overall?
It's interesting because I'm looking at the stats just now, and I think if you were to look at the stats, particularly like Rangers possession, for example, you'd think that we were absolutely bad. But you both of you'll confirm that I'd messaged, I think maybe halfway through the first half to say like all like the mistakes aside, like I thought that we were in the game. I've had there's definitely been games before that we've taken part in where Hibs have been 2-0 down early. So even if you go back to the start of the season, like
Mm.
against Celtic, we didn't look at all like getting back into it. But whatever this uh, whatever this rejuvenated Hibs side is doing, I felt that when we had the ball and when we were going forward, we looked dangerous. And that was kind of borne out throughout the game by scoring the goals. I actually thought that towards the end, like maybe with a few extra minutes, and it's funny because when they were talking about the added time at the end of the game, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be at least five, and then I was starting to get nervy because at that point I was thinking, Christ, 5 minutes feels longer than the 90 that we've just played because you're thinking like we've got into it, we've got back into the game, we've got a point. But had it gone on for an extra couple of minutes, like I wonder if we would have gone on and won it. Because like I feel like we definitely finished the game stronger than Rangers. And I
Anything,
don't know,
anything could have happened. That's what I would say. Could have been. It might have
possibly,
been. We might have been just like we might have thrown one in as well. You know what I mean?
possibly,
It's
and at the risk of to temper me getting carried away, we had correct me on the order of this, but Rocky scores his header, but then he also makes like almost like a little bit of a mistake at the other end.
A little bit.
Some- that,
Everybody, you just saw everybody's hands just came up to their heads at the same moment. We got away with it though, which is good. Um, Couple of comments on YouTube already. So Chris did then follow up with a good evening to John and Colin. A good evening, Mr. Clement, you clown. Stevie said, crazy game, crazy score. Quan awful, Lewis Miller awful. Rocky back to his bomb scaring best. Madness. Ross Davison said, great draw. We started very slow and lost two very poor goals. And can we all thank the Union Bear who tried to intimidate Boyle and ended up inspiring him to play his best game of the season? FUD. The Onion Bears, did you see that? One of them went and stuck a sticker on his door. What a fucking creepy thing to do, eh? Why would
I
you do
know.
that?
And do you think that was before the game? Or was it? Do we know when it
Oh, I
was?
don't know. I don't know.
I just assumed they'd checked his doorbell camera when he got back to the changing rooms, but I don't know. Like, because I have no idea what time he posted it on Insta.
Do you think everyone does that when they get a wee moment, like going, whether you're a professional footballer or just, I don't know, financial advisor, you get a wee spare moment, you check the ring doorbell, see who's been at the door?
I've not got one, but I've got a mate that listens to this that has got one, and he's constantly it's just a post there.
Aye.
Like,
Right, Rob, Ross, and Rob mentioned the poor start and the slow goals, the goals that we gave away. John, it was a disastrous start, really. And even before we conceded, Miller was short with a pass back. He was trying to get the ball across to Rocky, I think, and either held up in the pitch or he just didn't get enough on it and we nearly conceded then. What do you think was behind such a poor start?
I don't know, like, and I think the game was a wee bit of a contradiction in terms. So, like, I'm talking about Hibs being dangerous when they went forward, but also at the back we were a wee bit. In fact, not even a wee bit. I was going to say hear him, scare him, but like we'd exchanged messages during the game where we talked about like the gentlemanly art of defending. So I think it was for Rangers' second goal where they just had loads of room on their left hand side, our right, to just look, wander forward a wee bit, and think a wee cross in. And was it? Oh, I forget his name? Edamame. I'm probably doing that at the service. And he's got the header on it. Smith's not been able to. I don't think he was breastfed, so he wasn't tall enough to be able to palm it away. The first goal, I'm struggling to remember.
Rocky has an absolute. It's like a ball bouncing
Oh,
over the top, and
so
Rocky
actually,
lets it
yeah.
bounce. It gets caught under it, and
So we never talked about it at the time, but I was because I was keen not to slaughter Rocky, but it seemed to me like if there'd been a bit of better communication there, perhaps, or if Rocky had been a bit more commanding, he's got an easy header there back to the goalkeeper. And I wonder
it's
if there's
simple.
maybe like a little bit of confidence or a little bit of hesitancy that's resulted in them not doing it, which has then led to the opportunity that they've scored from.
Or overconfidence, because it's like he's trying to fucking turn the striker around and throw back into midfield with it, rather than just do the easy thing there.
Or overconfidence, but I think we did talk about, was it last week or the other week, that there seemed to be almost like a clear instruction: don't give it back to the goalkeeper to kick out, just deal with it yourself, however you deal with it. Could just be lump it. I think it was the Aberdeen game, just lump it at Rose Ed, and we just never did it this time. So that's what, and it's definitely the first goal was cheap, the second goal, the cross was cheap to concede, but also I think the guys found themselves with a free header sort of 12 yards out.
Mm-hmm.
You see that on the goal, that second goal? Are we going? Are we over the place here? Are you up to try and keep a structure?
No, on you go.
So the second goal, there was nobody. It came for, I think, a corner. I've just watched sports scene. It came for a corner, and then it came back out to their left, our right, and there was nobody there. And Triantis is like pointing to Miller to come out, and then you're going, "There's Cadden, right?" So he must be somewhere else at the corner, defending the corner, and got stuck in there. So the boys got a free cross in, but then when they bring the cross in, they're centre halves, and it was, I think, the third goal was like this as well. They're kind of along the, it's like they're doing zonal defending or something, but it's the open play. I thought you'd done, now, I don't know, like, but I thought you'd done zonal defending from set pieces. I didn't think you'd just done it when there was a ball coming in the box. Because both goals look like Giannis has left the boy, right? And you go, is it really the CDM's job to come back and mark the striker? Or should the defender not come out to, like, attack the ball and mark the striker? Like, that's their direct opponent. And by the way, I've no idea if I'm right or wrong here. I'm kind of asking the question, and hopefully somebody that knows might message in. But because I'm looking at both the goals, and although one was a free cross with no challenge, it's a free header for the striker. The other one's a tap-in for the striker. Both similar. Both make Triantis look like he's not tracked them. But then I go, should he be tracking him? So, because the CDM would normally track, I don't know, 10 or a midfielder making a run. No the actual striker. But I could be talking absolute shite, and I know there's folk that coach that listen, so they might tell me I'm wrong. But it looks a bit strange that the defence are just in the line, no marking anybody.
I think the problem is the players didn't really ken what they were meant to be doing. That's what it looked like. You know, the amount of time Rangers found themselves with a spare man, and Gray talked about it in his post-match interview, saying that the decision making when they were going to press and almost like a wee bit how they were set up as well. Because I think he almost acknowledged the fact that he left them a wee bit too exposed, and certainly for that second one, I mean, the guy he could have been like a golfer checking the wind. Had enough time to be right. Where am I going to put this? How far is it? What club do I need? Right, I'll go away to the bag, get the club out before he put the. He wasn't playing golf, but before he put the cross in, and then you're thinking, surely when he's got that much time to weigh up the cross, we'll be able to mark up in the box. But and if it wasn't the boy that scored it, there was other players there that could have scored it as well.
I think the goalie should do better with it. Like, the goalie had a decent game of the day, by the way. Like, I'm not just hammering the keeper for the sake of hammering the keeper. I think he made maybe 3 or 4 other decent saves as well. A lot of them like straight on, but Craig Gordon gets fucking like called the best goalie ever in that for making similar saves that he made today. But I think he got that one. He got his hand on it. It didn't look like he jumped high enough, right? Maybe he's flat-footed, or he's stepped kind of sometimes didn't step the wrong way, and then he kind of get the spring. And he got up and he was a wee bit short, but then he got his hand to it and put it in the goal rather than round the goal. So I think the goalie could definitely do better.
I had this conversation coming away from the game just to say, but was it the keeper's fault? But I hadn't seen
just his fault. He was the last one to save it. It's the fault of the defence, no marking anybody up, and the fault of leaving the boy to cross it in. All of that. But I think as the last line of defence,
could have done better. There's probably a better way to have worded that. I didn't think it at the time, I have to say, but I maybe go back and watch it again and see. But I didn't at the time think that there was much more that Smith could have done. But he did get a hand to it. Normally, if a keeper's got a hand to it, you'd expect him
quite a strong hand to it, not just like no fingertips. Like, he actually got his hand to it.
So. John, at that point, it looked like we were in for a proper horrendous afternoon. Really, like at 2-0 down, Rangers looked like they could score every time they came forward. We looked all over the place. Gray tweaks it a wee bit, and we get back into it with Boyle's goal. Do you remember much about Boyle's goal to talk us through it?
I forget the exact sequence of events that led up to it, but we find ourselves in the box, think Rocky's got his back to goal when he plays the deftest he touches to lay it off to Boyle, and he just sort of, I wouldn't say that he stabs it, toe pokes it, he more stabs it into the far corner,
It's a good
doesn't
finish.
he? It's a really good finish, yeah. And
I think there was a
it,
cross came to Miller before it. Miller maybe got a header back across. Came one of the ones when we.
It was a free kick where the boy never got booked, but it did the VAR
Oh,
check.
so it was.
It was,
So it
yeah.
was.
So actually, let's go there. What was the consensus on that? The VAR check came back as no serious foul play. The referee's not even booked the boy for it, to be fair. What's your view on this one? I think well, actually, I'll get your opinion first, and then I'll come in my mind. So, Colin, what did you think? Red card or?
I thought it was a red card. I thought it caught him high up, not high up, but above the ankle. Just above the ankle. Nate never got the ball. Wasn't near the ball. Wasn't like you could say. So Nicky Cadden got booked minutes later for winning the ball and then carrying on and catching the guy. This was worse than that. So it's a minimum booking. It's usually a red, I would say, is how I would. But for the referee not to book him, but at least VAR they meant this is a minute. Let's have a proper look at it. But then they can't even say to the referee to book him.
Okay, what they can do though, right? This is one of the things with VAR. So I think of the words. I've said it before, right? See if it's a second yellow. I think the referee should give a straight red so the VAR can have a look at it, right? So they can look at all the bookings. We saw with Kukovic getting his second yellow. That was a VAR intervention, and the referee booked him because he went away to see if it was a penalty. He saw the penalty, went, that's a yellow card offence, so booked him. See if VAR know that's probably a yellow card. Get the referee over to look at it and say, it's borderline yellow or red, go and have a look yourself. So then the referee can go and have a look. Now, the referee's duty bound then, if he sees it and goes, actually, that is a booking, he can then go and give the booking. VAR's going to get him to check for the red card. There's no intervening to give the boy a booking, but the referee can review it and go, it's probably not a red, but he should be booked for that. And go, they should have brought the referee to the screen for it, because once the referee's seen it, he can go ahead and book them.
Right.
Because it's a minimum. No chance. Kukovic getting booked that time. It wasn't a straight red.
It's a minimum yellow. But it's probably more a red. But if it was just a yellow, you could go, well, maybe there wasn't the force or something. But it was nowhere near the ball. Studs on just above the ankle on the bottom half of the shin. Red card for me. I've seen it back in the telly. They didn't talk about it in sports scene. No. They showed it in the highlights, but they didn't do the chat after it because there was too many goals to show in that probably. But it's a red card for me. Doesn't seem to have been mentioned though in the. Who was he? Big Phil talking about his not understanding the rules. His lack of understanding how he works.
John, red card for you, or were you happy with the no red card decision?
I think Collins articulated it really well. I think the challenge when it came in to begin with, I thought, I missed the severity of the initial contact. And then it goes to VAR kind of out of nowhere, and you think, all right, what's happened here? It's something I've missed. And they'll do the review. And then afterwards, you just think, oh, well, feel a bit hard done by or whatever. But the problem for me is you have the challenge that Nicky Cadden makes just a few minutes later. And he wins the ball. And I'm looking at the stats here and I'm going, how is it Rangers have come out of that game with only one yellow card, where you've got that first incident and then you've got the second incident on Martin Boyle later on? And it's like,
didn't even get a foul for that one.
He didn't even get a foul for it. And it's really, really hard to justify because.
And another boy was running about just persistent fouling. Is it the captain? He must have done 5-6 fouls in the game. Got booked in the end, I think. Pretty sure, but. It was like, could have had 2 red cards with the amount of fouls he gave away.
I'd really like it if we could get not this is the royal we, this is everyone, like everyone in Scottish football, with the exception of one, maybe 2 teams. I'd really like it if we could get away from the perspective of, but if it was the other team, then you would get that against you. But we can't seem to escape that, because I feel really confident that if it had been a Hibs player who'd gone in with the studs on the Rangers player, it would have been a minimum booking, because we've seen Hibs players booked for far less.
The St Johnstone player got sent off for Thursday. It's only 3 days ago. It was almost the same.
And that went through the VAR panel with us, said it was the right decision as well.
Yeah.
Again, they all backed it. So Boyle scores, and the game I was going to say the game changed at that point, but I think we were already getting back into the game. Like we'd already started playing our way back into the game by the time we scored. But after we scored, there was like a proper change in the whole flow of the game. So Gray's obviously made the tweak. We've got the goal. We're
What was
getting
the tweak? What do you think the tweak was? I know you mentioned it.
I think
I
he
can
got
ask another question before you answer that.
Aye.
Did either of you think that Rocky was going to do a big fucking overhead kick before he laid it off for Boyle? I thought he was
No.
lining himself up for a big
Rocky
scissors
thought
kick.
it for a second. Like
Did
he
he?
looked like it for a second. I definitely think he in his head it played out and he went.
He'd done the right thing.
Did
But
the
it
right
looked like
thing
he was going to do a big swing at it.
Was the tweak less about like something tactical and more about we subbed Quan because he was injured and brought in Brian Welsh? Like you actually had
That was earlier than that.
That was second. So we're talking into the like 20 minutes in, John. The flow of the game changed. Rangers stopped getting forward as easily as they did. I think Cadden on the Cadden twins came deeper. Their starting position was deeper, so Rangers stopped finding the same space that they were getting before. And I think we were a bit more aggressive. We were pressed in the middle of the park.
So did the Cadden twins, did they move further up? Is that what you're saying?
They came deeper.
They came deeper.
We gave up possession, so we let Rangers have more of the ball, but Rangers weren't able to pass through us the way that they did before. And that allowed us to get back into the game. So we ended up going on half-time 2-1. Second half, we come out. John, you were just mentioning the sub there for Quan. I think Quan had a stinking game, couldn't really have many complaints about coming off. Mariah Welsh comes on. Then we get the penalty. I'm trying to think if this is the order. I think it was still 2-1 when we get the penalty. The penalty, Clement was raging about it after the game. Made his whole press conference on every channel that he's been interviewed is about this fucking penalty. For me, it looked like a stonewaller. John, what was your take on it?
I don't know if you've seen it. There's a 5.5 minute Sky Sports interview. I think is it with Luke Shanley.
It is.
I've seen it.
And he spends, I don't know how much of that 5.5 minutes bringing it back to a penalty. And Shanley rightly grills him and says, "Well, you went ahead and you conceded again, so that's nothing to do with the penalty." The penalty, I thought it was really clever for Gale. I thought the run from, I forget who it was that plays the pass into Gale, but if
Campbell
you watch
wins
it back,
the ball. Campbell wins the ball back.
I think Cadden picks it up.
Was it to Cadden? He went sliding in to win it. He didn't really be able to do that, and then he makes the run in. Obviously,
no.
So
the ball gets played into Gale. Josh Campbell starts running instantly, and because I don't know whether he sees the gap, whether he sees where the ball that Gale's going to play is, whatever it happens to be, and he's in there, and Hadji just comes in and wipes him out, sort of beside him, sort of diagonally behind him. It's definitely a penalty. I'm not even going to give Clement the benefit of the doubt or Rangers the benefit of the doubt with regards to it was soft, it was X, Y, or Z. Like, did it fail the Cholak test or did it pass the Cholak test?
It was it's a different type of challenge, isn't it? But I was shouting for it. Like I didn't think there was any.
I think as well. Like there's obviously, if you've been on Twitter, you've seen screenshots, you've seen stills, you've seen videos that are conveniently clipped to like 3 seconds or whatever, so you can barely get your bearings on what's happening. But the way that I'm looking at it is Gale plays the ball, Campbell is running onto it, Hadji comes from beside him, he's got no chance of winning the ball there, and he just cleans him out. It's a penalty.
Yeah. No card for Hadji for it. You think Campbell gets onto the ball, it's got to be a goal scoring opportunity, but no action taken.
I think he's trying to win the ball. I'm not going to complain. I don't think that.
Well, what I was about to come on to is for the next minute and a half, Rangers players demonstrating with the referee while we were waiting to take the penalty, and the VAR check's going on. Aye. Rocky gets booked last week on Thursday. Right. Rocky gets booked for talking to the referee. This one, in fact, the referee walks away having a bit of a laugh with the Rangers keeper about it.
Aye.
That's infuriating for me. That sort of inconsistency, because it's not just the fact that he's complaining about the decision; it's hudding everything up more than it needs to be for Boyle about to take the penalty.
Oh, sorry to get this out of order, but I think I've just remembered the yellow card that Rangers actually got, which was it like a nothing sort of pull back or like clip of the heels on Martin Boyle? When you compare that with the other instances throughout the game where there could have been bookings but weren't. I didn't mean to fuel the conspiracy theory, but it's just so frustrating
Aye.
and demonstrates the sort of task that you're up against when the odds are already stacked against you.
I wasn't going for a conspiracy theory. I was getting frustrated at the inconsistencies because we
Well,
got a
that's it.
penalty. Do you know what I mean? And to be fair, it was a penalty that if they'd no given it, they probably could have justified it. You know, it was one of these ones that they could have talked it away, and they gave the penalty. So I'm not suggesting a conspiracy. It would have been easy for them not to give the penalty. It's not like they've not done this before to us with Stonewall penalties. Colin Boyle steps up to take it. What are you thinking?
Why is he taking it? Is what I was thinking.
I was nervous.
Why does Gale not take the penalties? That was genuinely that. I was thinking, fucking hell, we've got a striker that's like a great finisher, and he doesn't take a free shot for 12 yards out because that's a couple of games now. And I'm going, well, Cadden missed the last one, Boyle's missed one, me and Grace, we were rattling all the names off everybody who's missed one. We're like, what the fuck? But he just done the right thing with it because he smashed it high and down the middle. Because I think Cadden tried to go down the middle with the last one he missed, but you go down the middle and you go low, the goalie's legs are flailing because they always dive, right? They're always going to dive. And a one off in a penalty shootout, they'll often maybe 1 out of 5 they'll stay in the middle. And a penalty and a one-off penalty, they're diving. So down the middle, hard and high, and it should go in. And it was a good one. He took it well, smashed it well.
And then John, having got back to 2-2, we get a throw in Rangers half. Throw in goes to Mariah Welsh, who turns back towards his own goal, passes it, goes straight to a Rangers player. They break forward. We defend the situation initially, and then don't, and they score a third. How frustrating was it for us to shoot ourselves in the foot again at that stage in the game?
I was thinking about this earlier with regards to how I felt after the game, having salvaged a point, having taken a point that I wouldn't normally think that we would get. And while I was really delighted that Hibs scored 3 goals, like there's also that flip side of it, that contradiction of we conceded 3 really cheap goals. So we've already talked through the first 2, but the third one, I think after the events that you've described, it was almost like the way that I saw it was like all the Hibs players were kind of lined up. And then I think there was a ball to Czerny. Like it almost seemed like we were just waiting. Not, I'm reluctant to say waiting for the inevitable, but it looked like they were just going to make a move, make a pass, and then score because we were so static at that point. So we just didn't defend it really well, and I don't know the way that Hibs are set up. It seems to be that we're able to get bodies forward and we're able to defend the numbers, but when we defended today, we defended poorly. When we attacked with purpose, and that's on another day. If we defended a little bit better, do we win 3-0? It's just it's so that's one of the frustrating things about the Hibs team. However, even if you contrast that with like a few weeks ago or right back at the start of the season, we went 2-0 down, but there didn't seem to be that panic or that implosion that happened. It was almost like everyone started becoming a wee bit more steadfast and like kind of like refocusing on the task at hand. And it was just frustrating that it needed to be those 2 goals that we conceded to get us started. But we did start and we did get into it, and I think we showed mostly a good Hibs side with peppered with a few mistakes.
It was mental, Colin. Like you could have such a strong performance because it really was like second half, especially. I'd say probably for 60 minutes of the game, Hibs were really strong, and yet we concede 3 goals. And if you look at the goals in isolation, they're the cheapest goals you're going to concede all season, probably.
Yeah, well, he finished them well, like to get him to the risk again, this risk again of Rangers player credit, but they were still they were cheap goals to give away. But I'm sure they're probably saying that their ones were cheap. Everybody, that's wasn't it like
this is fair.
But aye, it was they were all cheap. It's just the amount of mistakes we make. It's quite fucking frustrating. It's just it just doesn't go away. It just doesn't seem to go away.
If nothing, like it's no solace. Like you can't take any solace from it. Whereas previously we were making mistakes and getting punished for them. We weren't scoring at the other end. At least in this game alone, we made mistakes. We were punished for them, and we're able to score at the other end.
We weren't even punished for all of them. That was the thing. We got away with some of
them. So it was quite late on. Rangers go 3-2 up. Their fans are singing "Hibs are falling apart again," but fucking we didn't fall apart. We got back into it. I did a superb reverse jinx when we got the corner. Said to Josh, "Need to do something with this when our corners have been shite today." Tremendous, eh? It was totally deliberate. I can't exactly what I was just putting that out
That's
there.
what I was doing with the penalty. I done it
Good.
with the penalty, so well done us. You'll take the credit.
Was Josh reminding you of how few corners are actually scored?
No.
Or how many goals are scored from corners?
That's how we're fucking that stat up massively this season. Eh? The statisticians will be like, fuck's sake, Hibs.
But what a corner it was, right on the Rockies' head, Colin, and Bullett's the header in.
Yeah.
Rangers again look for the referee. That's the first thing they do when they
By the way,
look for the referee to bail them out.
So did I, right? Because it was Rangers. Two, there was just bodies everywhere. And I thought, what have they got to do? Like, and I'm looking, is there a foul on the keeper? Miller's on the deck. Is he taking somebody out? You know what I mean? I was thinking, I was the closest I've been, kind of argue the point when folks say I didn't celebrate goals anymore because of that. And I always go, you're talking about your arse. That was the closest I was the day to thinking, how are they going to chop this off? Because I've been saying the whole game, they've got to get a decision. They've got to get a decision. They got the red card and non-red card, like.
Yeah.
But like a game-changing decision, a proper game-changing decision. Like I was still expecting them to go and get a penalty, which they claimed for massively, which is never a fucking penalty later after.
Oh, the handball. Yeah.
Aye. But I was thinking, what the fuck? How will they chop this off? Because he's gave the penalty, they were going mental for the penalty. He's under pressure now to give them something back, so that he can go out the night for a pint with them, without getting too much hard time. But it was. There was nothing wrong with the goal at all, though. It was just the sort of stramash there that I thought there's got to be something in there that they can disallow it for. But it was a cracking either.
So Rocky had gone for villain, hero John, and then nearly went back to villain again. As we went into, I think, near injury time, or just keeping in injury time, almost like a carbon copy of incident in the first half, just a ball over the top.
Just further out. Aye.
And the wee guy that Eggman, is that his name?
Hat-trick. You got the hat-trick guy.
Eggmani.
It's
Eggmani.
Eggmani rolls it past the post. And we got away with it. Really, did it hit the post, did it?
Aye. I thought he was going to pull him down as well, because he got past him and he looked like he thought, I'll just hoy him, and I thought, no, and he took his hands off. And I thought, fuck, he's going to get sent off and everything.
See if you ignore that first part where the boy Eggmani breaks free with the ball. Would you say that was good defending from Rocky to sort of like to push him wide, to hassle him, to distract him and put him off his shot?
Rocky tried to claim it as good defending when his post-match interview. He said he tried to annoy him, but the guy's got shot. He should have scored.
The guy didn't really want to get back in front of him because he took the touch across the front of him because he can't. Well, if you come near me, I'm falling down, it's a penalty and probably a red card as well. Although the goalie could have saved it, and we can now. The rule is that if the goalie can make the save, it's not a red card. That's what we got told earlier in the season.
It was against Rangers. If the goalie can make the save, it's no goal scoring opportunity anymore.
But I thought that, so the boy done really well to get across the front. Smith probably narrowed the angle, but he should probably still score like.
And the excitement wasn't quite done then. Boyle had a chance right at the death for his hat-trick, just curled it in the post. See, if we'd won the game, it wouldn't have been unfair, eh? Like, I didn't think it would have been unjust if we'd won it. I definitely came away thinking, fucking hell, I feel a bit gutty that we've not won it, but...
You see the XG?
No.
The XG is almost identical.
Is it?
Which suggests it could have went either way, I suppose, couldn't it?
I was hoping we helped with the penalty, obviously, but obviously we got a penalty though, so you deserve the XG for it. Okay, right, let me get some talking points. I'll get the YouTube ones first, then we'll get the ones off Twitter. So Stevie said, after that first half hour, it's quite incredible we actually got a point from the game. K-Rob said, just watch Sports Scene, seen the Hibs mascots were making faces at the Rangers players in the tunnel. They got to them today. So that was it, really tremendous.
The Rangers players were laughing, to be fair. Again, close to give credit to them, but they took in good spirits. They didn't go boxing with them, man.
Rangers players and sense of humour shocking.
Was it Waghorn that time that was on his way back for the chippy and ended up just fighting with a fat lad? Amazing. Chris said there was a big change that Gray made, and that he was moved Campbell off to the right side and just added a wee bit of steel in there as we seem to be exposed. Also getting tighter on Taraskin and Diamande made them panic. On Josh Campbell thought he had a bit of a slow start to the game, but he was fucking brilliant in that second half.
Yeah. He was really good. See, even that shot you mentioned there about Boyle, if you see it back on the Sports Scene later, I hadn't noticed it at the time, but you watch it back, Boyle hits the shot. Campbell's the one that's fucking bombing in, looking for the rebound or
Aye.
You know, and yet he's just like runs all day, doesn't he stop? 90 odd minutes. He's come off fucking caked in mud because he's sliding about the place, winning balls on the ground, and that. I thought he was excellent today.
Aye, he was really good. Kenny said every game a cup final now, 3 points above second bottom, 8 behind third. John, the league's mental in a way. Like I thought it was a really good point today, and then the results kind of didn't really go our way. It's bunched everybody. I think St Johnstone are fucked, aren't they? They're sort of isolated at the bottom.
Yeah.
They've been cut adrift a wee bit.
Everybody else, like Nibdy's really out of contention for third, and Nibdy's I was going to say Nibdy's out of contention for the second bottom, but I think probably Dundee United and in the form that they're in, they're probably all right and the safest out of everybody, but they could easily get pulled into it. You look at Aberdeen are just on a fucking like a massive downward spiral. Are we safe or can we forget about the relegation playoff place and just be looking upward, or are we still right in the mix for it?
I think we keep it in our mind. Sorry, John. Yeah, I'm putting in there.
No, it's all right. You talk away while I try and find some supporting evidence for what I'm about to say.
so I'm looking up, right, and I've been looking up all season, like having these chats every Sunday, but you look at it, I was surprised today that Hearts are only 3 points behind us in the second bottom place. And you think that could ease it. That's 2 losses and you're in there. And that can easily happen to anybody in this league. Like we've seen, like it's happened to everybody. It's happened to everybody. Up for Celtic. So you could easily lose 2 games, and before you know it, you're back in that danger. But so I think you've got to be aware of it. But we should be looking up the way because, again, on the other hand, we're 7 points for third place.
What do you reckon, John?
Well, if you remember, one of the criticisms at the start of the season,
8 points. Sorry, 8 points. Can't count.
Or one of the fears about the Hibs team and their form, and what had prompted me to say like we had the hallmarks of a team that could be relegated, was Livingston. It was 25. Sorry, it was we are behind where Livingston were at this stage of the season. And then recently I checked it out, and I think Livingston got relegated with 25 points. Well, Hibs have beaten that total. We're on 26, and we are 11 points ahead of St Johnstone. That's not enough of a gap for me to say, right, we can forget about relegation, because as we've seen, a decent run will lift us, but a poor run could just as easily pull us back in. And you're talking about like the teams being bunched up. So I'm looking at, say, where we are just now, 8 points behind Dundee United. That's not insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already seen that Aberdeen are having a really shitty run at the moment. Long may it continue, and they drop down the table. I think the big difference in terms of where we want to be and where we don't want to be is how many of these points that we can continue to pick up that other teams don't. Because I think where we are at the moment is, with the results that we've had, we haven't had all of the other results go our way. So while we've been picking up points, while we've been winning games and picking up points, Dundee United to come into a little bit of form. Aberdeen had that early season form. So we made a dent in that, but we were catching them, but they were already just so far away. Motherwell, I think, won today against Aberdeen, and Motherwell are 4 points ahead of us with a game in hand. So I think it probably demonstrates the importance of the January transfer window, because I think we recognise that we've got a pretty thin squad, that the subs bench today wasn't really used, with the exception of Mariah Welsh coming on for Kwon. We need reinforcements. We need to. It's not the ideal time is the wrong description, but it is the time to get in the right players to strengthen the squad for the next part of the season.
Right.
Because without that, we maybe just stand still where we are for the rest of the season.
Motherwell's game at hand is Wednesday night, by the way. I was just checking that. It's against Kilmarnock through there on Wednesday night.
And then we've got Motherwell at the weekend,
Saturday.
On Saturday, Easter Road. So a good chance they kind of claw some ground back on them. Rob said, game of 2 halves for Miller today. God awful in the first half, okayish in the second. Campbell, Boyle and Giannis, all fantastic. Giannis is carrying on his good run of form. He was good against St Johnstone. And I thought today he didn't put much foot wrong all day. I mean, it was a difficult game for him today up against that Rangers midfield. What are you making of Giannis now, Colin?
I like to look at him. I do wonder, like, I still don't know about those goals if he's meant to be doing more or not. But I do like him in there. He'd be better with Newell on the side of him, or
Hmm.
or another midfielder that's better than Newell if we can get one. Um, because I think he's trying to do the job with more than one person at the moment, which we've been saying about Newell for, or Marvin Bartley said that to us, didn't he, about Newell at the start of the season when he was
Yeah.
on. So um, I think I think he done well. I think he had a good game. I just don't know about the goals because I'm looking at it going, he's in this man. Should he be doing more, or is that But open to challenge on it because I really don't know how they're lining up. But no, he looks decent. He's coming into a game.
Kieran said, feel like we're getting away with it. With Rocky's mistakes, we won't keep getting away with it. He needs replaced. And on Twitter, Chris said, it feels like a win, but the defending from Rocky was disgusting. Miller wasn't much better. The team are fighting hard, but we need proper defenders. Newell was a massive miss in the midfield again. John, we spoke on if you weren't on the phone in on Thursday, but we spoke on the phone in about what to do with Rocky. So I think everybody's I assume everybody would agree that Rocky for 95 to 99% of the game can be brilliant at times, or at least adequate, like good. And then when he's not being brilliant, he costs us goals. So he costs a goal today. Obviously, he scored it, he's offset it, nearly cost us one at the end again, which would have lost the game, I think. What do you do with Rocky? We're into the last year of his contract. I think we've got the option to extend by a year. Do you give him the year or do you go, we need better?
It's really, really hard for me to answer because I'll always defend the player in the Hibs shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try and take a wee bit of cop out here that I think there's always going to be an opportunity to find a better player. And if you could find a better player, then you naturally should. The only caveat that I would give to that, I think, is what we discussed the other night there was about character within the squad. Like he's taken his bumps while he's been in a Hibs jersey,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like the criticism over his performances, the mistakes that you've described that have led to goals. But there is something quite lovable about him as well. But and I can feel Colin rearing up, ready to have a go at me. Lovable doesn't win football games. Lovable doesn't win trophies. Like I get that. The bit that I find really, really difficult is this the resurgence that I've talked about with Hibs. There is something about this team that with some small tweaks could do really good things. But that is at the expense of some of the players that are currently in there. And I think one of the listeners talked about it on the on YouTube recently, but it was like, hang on, like these guys are the ones that are playing their part in getting us these points that have pulled us away from the relegation zone, and we're talking about shipping them out already. That's the bit that I find challenging.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're always looking to improve. Like maybe Rocky, like maybe it's not just a case of like we want rid of Rocky. Like maybe Rocky wants out.
I don't think he's playing like a player that wants out. Like he seems like engaged with what the club are doing, like bought into to things. His interview after the game, I listened to it on the BBC on the way home, and he talked about what it means to play for Hibs and the expectations of the club and things like that. It didn't sound like somebody who was itching to get away. Colin, what about you? I think when we did our extra time on it, and a spoiler alert for anybody that's here, I think we both said let him go, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago.
Aye.
He's so divisive. I was reading him on net and that yesterday and over the last few days as well, and it's like there's folks so willing to make an excuse for him as well, like or give another reason
Yeah.
to why he kicked the ball in his own goals. But it took a deflection. Like hardly fucking moved the ball in the air, or Miller gave a corner away. Like so that's why he gave the penalty away. No, he gave the penalty away. The corner's not really, And then today it's like just headed it back to the goalie. But I've not actually heard. I've not read the reasons today why he done it. But I don't know. But then he goes and it's the goals at the other end. They were important today, right?
Yeah.
But that's not his job. Like his job's the ones that are like he's having to make up for the stuff he's doing at the other end. It's just I don't know. He's 25 as well. It's like, it's like can you really coach the basics into somebody at that age? Like the basics are, I would expect a lot younger than that. He's fucking like he's nearly in the prime of his career.
Mm.
I don't know. I get why folk like him, but I think likability is so Malky and that spoke about being a nice guy and all that at the start of the season. So you could bring that in there.
Yep.
But I'm a wee bit like, if we can't get him to stop making mistakes, I wouldn't be re-signing him. That's where I am. Or making that many mistakes.
Aye.
Did Malky say nice guy or did they say good character?
Good people or something like that, wasn't it?
Aye, good people, I think it was. And don't get me wrong, I like Rocky as well. He's a player I have a lot of affection for, and if it was just a sentimental decision, I don't think there's no question you would sign him again if it only came down to sentimentality. I think it's an easy decision because he definitely gives everything for the club, but it's whether or not you can sustain having like a goal a game almost like against you because of a mistake that he's made. And I think the answer to that is no. And I get every player will make mistakes, but like Iredale's no costing us a goal at a game. The keeper's no costing us a goal at a game. Joe Neal doesn't cost us a goal at a game. Do you know, like you go across the team, and again, some positions are more susceptible to it than others.
There's been loads of mistakes this season, but it's not this many. He's been in the team 8 or 9 games. Well, 8, I don't know when the run started. So he's been in that many games, and I don't know. I can think of 4 or 5.
See, because is there any mitigation from the fact that Rocky at times is like the last man of defence, with the exception of the goalkeeper, where if he makes a mistake, it's highlighted so much more? Or is it just the case that someone in that position who is the last line of defence should be better able to defend those things?
They need to take more care. I think when there's that much jeopardy on it, you need to, like, you can't afford to have somebody that's not reliable in that position.
Like the goalie. Look at the goalie. He got binned at the team because he was the last man in defence and he was chucking him in. And Rocky's the second last man in defence, and he's like that's a simple header back the day for that first goal. The one at half, the one in injury time where it was almost carbon copy was further out. It's not a header back. He just needs to get rid of it.
I think the situation that I'd be keen to avoid is a Terry Butcher style situation where we decide not we but like the coaching staff at Hibs or whatever, that it becomes one of the worst kept secrets that Rocky's surplus to the requirements, but he's still playing on the side. Like while they're playing for Hibs, we want them to be performing for Hibs, and we want them to be invested in Hibs. We don't want them to be like, well, I could be out the door at any point.
Ian said, exciting games for sure. Let's not give teams a 2-goal lead from now on, though, eh? I spot on. Robert said, very well recovered after a shocking start. Heart, character, and desire was there. Campbell, very underappreciated today. Absolutely superb. Ian said he was right with the draw. I also called the draw as well, and that we'd score last, which was, I didn't get 3-3 though. I think I said 2-2.
2-2. Yeah.
Never mind. Stevie said, Josh Campbell, my favourite player from the last couple of seasons, seems to be getting better and more consistent. Boyle coming back to the Boyle we all know. Also, Boyle had a cracking game today, I thought. Like when things were no going well for us, Boyle was one that kept looking for the ball to make something happen, which he hasn't always done this season. I think he had a good game, John.
Yeah, and I think there was an article in the Observer a few weeks ago where he talked about having been dropped and it being quite a motivational tool for him. Because I don't remember the article word for word, but I think, in fact, I'm probably misquoting him here. But
imagine you did read it word for word, like memorised it word for word, and just recite
memory
it
man.
now. Do you think the folk for the Observer would be fucked off that you just like totally used their content?
No, because I've credited them. Like, surely that's how essays work, isn't it? That's what we do at uni.
Aye, fair enough. Fair dues, yep.
So I like it's a funny one because, and this goes back to what we said about defending players in the Hibs jersey. Like, I find it really hard because there have and actually I tried to make the case, I think, in a previous episode, round about, I don't know which transfer window it was, but I suggested that we should realise the asset of Martin Boyle, like, to reinforce the squad. And then here we are, where he's put in some really good performance. Like, so we had was it the Aberdeen game where he scored once and had 2 assists?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, and you've had that game today. So, and this is the thing about writing players off as well that I find really, really challenging. So Josh Campbell, I think, has been written off every season since he started, Joe Newell, etc., etc. So Martin Boyle's time at Hibs will come to an end. It's maybe not right now.
Okay. Jake Gapper said, Campbell and Boyle phenomenal. Wish Gale would run, press a bit more. Rocky must be the most points neutral player we've ever had. But he's entertaining as fuck. New contract ASAP and get Kwon gone.
This is what I was going to say about Rocky, actually, was that when his time at Hibs comes to an end, however that comes about, like, I think he's going to be remembered as a cult hero. I think he's going to come back for, like, he'll be at the Hibs club. He'll be signing calendars for years to come.
Callum said, first game I haven't watched this season because I had a late night. He's gutted about that. Silverback said, crazy stuff, happy with the point, but feel strangely a little disappointed, but did not nick it. Great stuff and come back for Hibs. David Burns said the players are fighting for each other. Ewan McAleese said, totally nuts. So David Gray switched up, Boyle switched on, Rocky switched off again, etc. Both sides forgot how to pass. Hibs looked dangerous up front. Kwon, not good enough. Miller needs to have a long look at his decision making. It was a Jekyll and Hyde game. Mad. Jekyll and Hyde game is kind of a good way to describe it, Colin, isn't it? How else would you describe it?
Exciting. Exciting. It was entertaining. I think, I don't know what else I was going to say. I was going to talk about Rocky and Miller. Like, they started off so badly, and I do want to just hammer players. Kwon as well never got into the game. But the Rocky Miller thing, they actually produce more going forward than they do provide us, the other end. And it's a weird one, because Miller's good for getting on the end of those headers for crosses to put them back across the box, although there was one today he misjudged a bit, I think. But and Rocky,
Miller, he almost scored like a fucking worldie with that shot.
Smashed it. Yeah. And then but the stuff he remembers is stuff forward, whereas the back stuff at the back, like there was a ball he played in the first half, not really under any pressure, he just kind of kicked it towards the halfway line. There wasn't his player with 10 yards either side of the ball. Like, it was just like, who's that for? What are you doing? They're strange players. Like, I don't know. I mean, well, I've documented what I said, what we do with them on extra time. You go and listen to that if you want.
We remarked here, so enjoyed that. We will strengthen and I fancy a run at third. Ian said, great fight back all the same. Chris said, Rocky, I honestly think he can just use his body to get himself out of these situations instead of actually just clearing the ball. I just lost my place. Sometimes, see, when I scroll on YouTube, sometimes it jumps massively, and like I was fine where I was. I could sort of see following it nicely, and then I lost my place altogether. I'll come back to. I'll go to Twitter while I'm looking there. AKA Rab says, "Can we give Rocky a bit more shit? He loves shutting folk up with a goal when we really need it. Massive squeaky arse moment towards the end with him though, but got away with it. Glory to the Hibees FTH." And you can use your imagination what that last H could be, because it could be a couple of things. Andrew Brown said, played well after the shock of going 2 down, better team for an hour, have to cut out the mistakes, it's cost us so many points, must be pushing 20 points dropped due to individual mistakes. Tracy said, commitment, heart, character, and don't care what anyone says about Rocky, love him, will always have his back. Mark James says, great fight from the team. Chantis marking all 3 zombie goals was questionable though. Colin, you've highlighted that already. Talk about the fight for the team and the character. John, you'd alluded to it earlier on in the episode where we were talking about if you compare where we are today to where we were early in the season, particularly when faced with adversity. I think if we'd gone 2-0 down early in the season, that is a game that we would have lost. But it's like after that Dundee game where it all went really wrong, and then we had the Aberdeen game in the midweek after it where things were better. The team definitely looked like that, a team that's together and fighting and has the right spirit. What does today's result say about the character of the team?
Was that to me?
That was to you, yeah.
It's quite an intangible thing, isn't it? Like character, mentality, fight, all that sort of stuff. Like we got ourselves back into the game, but we're like, so is it net zero character because we conceded 3 but also scored 3? It's the funny.
We came to a losing position twice, didn't we? That's what, and that's what we weren't doing. We were the team that were getting called for not having character or mentality because we were the team losing points for winning position, whereas now we are taking points from another team's winning position. That's what the turnaround's been, I think.
Aye, and I think we've been, I don't know if guilty is the right word. We've talked about it before. We had it, like, I asked Bartley the question about like character in the team because we talked about, and it's been referenced, like there was a number of different leaders in the cup winning team, and I remember asking him, like, was that just an instant thing in the dressing room, or was that something that developed? And if I remember correctly, his answer was that it sort of developed over a little period of time. And I wonder how much the adversity that the Hibs squad has been through this season has built on that character that we seem to be showing. Because they've been through the ringer, like people were, weren't they renewing season tickets, booed off the pitch, all that sort of stuff. But maybe we just reached rock bottom with that Dundee game that you meant. Sorry, that you referenced, where I think Joe Neo's called the players meeting. The coaching staff have been I don't know,
Excluded.
banned, not invited,
Yeah.
excluded was the right word. Sorry, and something whatever, and this is that intangibility because I don't know how to describe it. Like there seems to be something there that was missing previously, but how to define that, how to describe it, how to touch it and feel it, you couldn't. But to come back into the game today to get the point is massive. And one of the things that we talked about in the previous episode was about like form kind of leveling off, and I queried it a little bit. This has got to be something that says to the team, right, if we can get back to cutting out the mistakes again, we're more than capable of going and scoring the 3 goals. So that's got to give us confidence, like reasons to be cautiously optimistic going into the coming games. Because I think, I forget who it was, someone had said that we've got 5 winnable games coming up, and then you've got the 6th game of Celtic. So there's a potential to get like a good number of points behind us, and keep pushing up the table. Hopefully, if the results start to go our way elsewhere.
And Colin, the players left everything out on the pitch today. It's like it's not every game this season that the players have come off at the end of the game, and there's some of them like absolutely flat out. Like it was like a scene for Platoon at the end of the game. The day, like just players like literally lying on the ground when the final whistle went.
We only made one sub as well, which
that again's got to be a positive sign, isn't it?
Aye, and you can see, like, I don't know if you've seen Rocky and Boyle get interviewed on Sky, the clip of that, but they mention, I'm sure they both mention, I can't remember, but it's definitely mentioned about character and determination and fighting for each other, and it's like, like they just keep saying it, you know what I mean? And it's like but they're now believing it, and that's how we're came for a goal down on Thursday, came for twice today. We came, like we're coming, we're doing this more frequently now. So they believe it. They believe it.
Almost becomes like the self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it? Like you kind of keep talking about it enough, and then it's there. What's it like? Fake it till you make it type thing. Right, we're almost out of time. Time for a couple more, and then we'll wrap up. So, Owen,
I'm just looking at the next set of fixtures. If you want me, because John mentioned the next 5 there. It's Motherwell at home, Clydebank, Ross County away, Aberdeen at home, St Mirren away. Then we're at home to Celtic. That's the next 5. So it's 4 games then.
No bad, really, is it? Like the Tivers are the next 5. I'm going to go Owen's comment. So if you're looking at the chat, you'll notice Owen's got like a wee Long Bangers logo next to him on there, and green writing for his name as well. He's got that because he's joined the channel as a YouTube member. You'll see a wee link underneath the video if you want to join up. You can also have that, and you'll get all our subscriber content too. So thanks for signing up there, Owen. Much appreciated. Owen said, poor start, and was thinking it would be 4 or 5-0 until Boyle scored. From then on, it was end to end. Soft penalty, but we've had far worse given against us. Rangers should have had a red, maybe 2. I can't wait for Saturday, something I dreaded a month ago. And it totally has shifted the mood, hasn't it? Like that this run of form, like you saw, the stadium was pretty full today. Not quite a sellout, but you kind of allow for the weather and the time of year. It's feeling like there's a bit of momentum again. David Gray referenced that in his Hibs TV interview as well, that the players and the manager are noticing a difference in the mood of the crowd now as well. Callum said, even after all the mistakes and missing a couple of starters, we put 3 past Rangers, almost won it. Stay unbeaten and team spirit is off the charts. Time for well-earned rest and continue the momentum for the remainder of January. Right, I'll make this last one. Sean Duff said, it's time we're real about Rocky. He's not at the level we need at centre-half. Looks no bad up top, mind. Clement is crying about the pen, and I have to disagree. It is soft, but it is a pen. Good point considering the way it went. Clement looks like his teeth have been painted on. An interesting talking point as well. I've never looked at Clement's
Maybe
teeth.
to that an extra thing.
Aye, we might follow that one up. I did notice he was sporting a baseball cap today, whereas David Gray didn't. And I think, there's an early marker as well about who's toughest. With the two managers on the touchline.
I used to read this thing on, I think it was at Sports Illustrated, about, it was an article called Tuesday Morning Quarterback. It was about the NFL. And the guy who wrote it, Greg Easterbrook, had this theory about coaches in cold weather. So the guys that were out there in like tracksuits or whatever, like how they would normally take training, compared to the guys that were done up, in like the puffer jackets and whatever else they were doing to keep themselves warm. It was the guys that were in the puffer jackets whose teams were more often on the losing side than the guys who were in just like the tracksuits and regular.
That's interesting.
So there might be
Liam
something
Craig was in shorts today.
Hard man.
In shorts. We thought he might be coming on at half time. We reminisced about his goal in the 4-0 against Rangers.
Speaking about coming on, can we give a wee bit of credit to Mariah Welsh, who played a more effective role in midfield than Juan, who was clearly injured and almost immobile by the time he went off.
You can. He did give them the third goal, which was his one moment. But I actually thought Mariah Welsh, if you take that moment away, had a good game.
Yeah. He's not played much. He's not played much. You know what I mean? He looked like he was, at one point, he was not long on, and he was like sort of hobbling a wee bit, like his hammy had went.
He was limping.
Saying to my daughter, I says, it's like when you've not played for ages and you start, you'll know, especially in a game like that. He's not, and he's playing. It's one of the harder games he's playing as well, isn't it? In that weather, So, give full excuses for him. Do you think Clement? Just before we finish, do you think he's over-egging it here to try and get some decisions, or because he can't genuinely believe that how it totally
self-preservation, mate?
Is that what it is?
Because if he doesn't blame the referee the day, he's fucked out a lead in like a 2-0 lead and a 3-2 lead with minutes to go.
Yeah,
and he's just fucked anyway, isn't it?
Because if we got a penalty against us, I would probably moan about it, but we would probably end up going. We'd be splitting here like 2-1 or something. Going, well, can we go with that one against Rangers? And we've had. It's 50-50 if the ref gives it. That's what we would be saying, I'm sure. As much as we'd be more biased and leaning towards Hibs being on the right or wrong side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to react like that, I was a bit surprised. I thought he might mention it and say, we're on the wrong side of the refereeing decision. But he's going on as if like he's never seen a game of football before in his fucking life, which, I don't know, maybe he's seen a couple. I don't know how long he's been at Rangers, but he's acting there as like totally incredulous about it, and you're like, come on, mate, they're given regular.
Aye.
That's not an anomaly. Every pundit that I've seen or heard talk about it has been, VAR's not overturning that.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. I'll see what these fucking refs say the morning on their podcast when it comes out. But I didn't. Did you say soft, John? Somebody said soft. It was a soft. Maybe one of the listeners.
One of the listeners.
And it's maybe soft, but we're all everybody shouted for it. Like it looks like a penalty. It was a penalty. VAR never overturned it.
Aye.
I didn't understand why he's been. I can only think he's trying to put the pressure on these refs so that they start getting all the decisions again. Which, by the way, let's not let them forget they should have had a boy sent off in the first fucking 20-odd minutes.
I was thinking about that, Colin, after Derek McInnes was talking about the red card for
last week.
Who was it? But it's almost like
Armstrong.
It's like so it's like you were saying. So the referee on the pitch is given something, VAR's reviewed something, and then now you're talking about the panel. Like, how many times do you want someone to give a decision the way that you want it given?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not feasible.
Nah. Green Tea mentioned Mariah Welsh was fouled early on and was limping for a while afterwards. He managed to shake it off. I actually thought he did well apart from that one mistake, and then he's just. I mean, I don't know. You turn back towards your own goal. We're attacking, throw in, and turn back towards your own goal, went backwards and just fucked the pass up.
I'd still rather play him than Quan, purely because, I think he's maybe a bit better. But even if they're on a par, he's ours. Quan's no. So let's deal with our own play.
And I tipped him for player of the year or young player of the year, one of the two as well.
Aye.
So the more game time he gets, the better, because there is still time, David Gray, if you're listening.
I had it for Mojellos.
For him to go and make an impact for the rest of the season. So get him in the team. That's what I say. Right, thanks very much for staying with us tonight. Loads of folk watching, just having a wee look at the numbers there as we've come through. If you do want to join up as a subscriber, you can do it right here on YouTube, or you can go to Patreon. You can find us there as well. It's only a couple of quid a month. We'll be back with extra time tomorrow. We've not picked a topic yet, but there's still loads of talking points that I've not got to frisk, so we might carry them on and just carry on the discussion for today's game, because it was a good game to talk about. But if you're a subscriber, you'll get that tomorrow evening. For everybody else, thanks very much for tuning in.